Welcome back to another episode of Aussies taking over the NBA. We're going out live on YouTube. It is Wednesday night, the 20th. I am Benjamin Black, and I have Andrew Bullock here as always. What do we got? We got some more games to go through. Big bombshell, man. Big bombshell drop today.
Yeah, Brett Brown will be coaching the Australian Olympic team.
So it was all
Pretty big
100%,
news.
100% verified.
Yeah, it's the Woj broke this story sometime this morning. It's pretty big news, man. Like that's a big coup for Australian basketball. Obviously, he was the Boomers coach before, but he's trying to coach Philly, and I'm going to be optimistic here in trying to coach Philly to a championship this season and into the next couple of seasons. So it's interesting that he's taken on the national role also, or is that some writing on the wall for his Philadelphia job? Who knows?
It's not the hardest thing to do to coach the coach an international team. I think in the off season you saw Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr kind of
Fail.
run the US team pretty much into the dirt and then fail. Funny enough though, like didn't take much of a hit to their reputations at all. Did you kind of?
No,
Yeah, that was
because
a
I
bit.
think that everyone just they sent the C team really. They sent the USA Celtics
Yeah,
out to play some FIBA ball, and I just don't think those guys are adept at FIBA style play. I mean, they're not the dream team per se. It was kind of the just the purgatory team.
yeah,
It's pretty woeful. Not really great, but that's what they got, and they got dished out pretty quickly. And the Spaniards went on to win
yeah. Don't
that
man. Oh,
tournament.
still hurts. That Spain
So
and
we could talk about why they kind of got rid of Lamarnus and what our thoughts are. I think it was pretty obvious that there was probably some rift between him and Bolden
speculatively
pre.
speaking, we don't want the
I don't
aggregators.
I don't think it's speculative. I think it's pretty obvious that Bolden had a hissy fit and walked out of training camp because Landau was getting more minutes than he was, and he's obviously the NBA pedigree and caliber, although he's been relegated to G League this year. Um, I am a little bit was a little bit concerned with who he was kind of picking. He was kind of just picking some bullets like Liddon and Sobe, obviously knowing that Sobe was probably going to join the Bullets at that stage, and Barlow, and we just there was no depth in the team really, beyond the starting kind of 7 or 8, and that really what failed us in the end, and the unwillingness to go to bench depth, and some of these guys, Paddy playing like 44 minutes, and it wasn't sustainable throughout the whole tournament. Yeah, it was great for 4 or 5 games, but if we had Bolden, potentially it would have been that extra spark to give us these guys a bit more of a rest off the bench, played like a really stretch 4, 5 potentially, or even a small forward, taking some minutes away from them. So I think there was a bit of a rift there. I think they wanted Lewis Simmons and Bolden back to the team to take it through to the Olympics and potentially win. I think they see this as the only opportunity they're really going to get in the next ever. You kind of got that intergenerational gap where, Banger's 34, Bogan's 35, Paddy's 31, Delhi's 30. These are the players that have got us some good finishes in tournaments, and they're going to be out of the leagues, out of playing competitive basketball by next Olympics. And you haven't really got people of the same caliber in the same spots coming through the ranks. Would you agree with that kind
Yeah, I
of?
agree.
Like, we haven't really got the centers coming through that these guys of these caliber. Um, Jonah Bolden being a power forward hasn't really realised his full potential. Thonmaker's just fallen way off a cliff in terms of minutes. Now he's not even in the rotation at Detroit. Didn't play the other day. 3 minutes here, 4 minutes there. Now that Blake Griffin's back, and then obviously we really don't have a point guard outside of Ben Simmons and a shooting guard outside of Patty Mills. So this is it. This is they're going for it, and I think that's what lured Brett Brown with probably some good money as well to come and coach the national side. And I
Yes.
think the writing's on the wall for the Bullets aren't playing really well either, and it's kind of like, how can you take a coach that's not really winning in its domestic league with a solid team? Like, it's not a terrible team when you look at the paper and the roster put together. Yet you can't get the W's on the board.
Yeah, so the Bullets are 4-5 this season. That went with a semi-finals berth, basically just bundled out, similar to the Kings last season in the finals. There was a lot of sort of outcry on Twitter. Like I saw this morning. I saw the Woj tweet first. It's always just things are happening, like things are going to be finalized. So most people take it as it's definitely happening then, and then sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. Like it's not a finalized thing, but it's a whole tweet about it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening. So I read that part, and then there's some outcry on Twitter, a little bit of some back and forth, sort of like don't disrespect Lamanis's legacy, and you're just kind of like Brett Brown's a better coach. Like a lot, like love or hate Lamanis, and like I've said already, it's the Gaze equation where love Gazy, like the fabric of the Aussie basketball scene, like an absolute legend. He'll be a Hall of Famer in the Aussie basketball scene, but just wasn't a very good coach. And then we just brought in a better coach to the Kings. It's like you don't need to get upset and be disrespecting anyone here. You just like Brett Brown's a better coach, so you're gonna bring in a better coach. And like you've just laid out there. With the Baines is 32, by the way. With the whole structure we have at the moment, there's a generational gap, really. Like when you really look at our team with a fine-tooth comb, there's a big sort of gap between that 26 to 30, 32-year-old area. We've got huge gaps of no players, basically. Like we've got young guys who are coming through. Ben Simmons is probably not far enough along in his career to be like hand over the keys. Like this is the perfect time for him to just start playing. If he's going to play, of course. And then all of our older guys are really still the best guys in our team. So it's going to be a hard thing to change over. So I think now's the perfect time to go give it to the best coach we can get, which is Brett Brown. Like maybe Brett Brown's not even the best coach we could have got, but it's to go all in on this.
It's probably the one with the most legacy. Coached in the NBL, coached Australia.
I wonder how the backroom's going to change, Like the backroom
I don't
stuff.
think it will. I
think Will Weaver was pretty. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Will Weaver's being groomed to take that position afterwards. Personally, obviously you've got Luke Longley is part of the coaching staff as well, but I think Will Weaver's being groomed to take that job in the long term.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing with Sydney Kings now is pretty phenomenal, and he will be the coach going through to the next World Cup and the next Olympics after Brett Brown. I think this is a one and done to try and get something out of this tournament ASAP. Because really there's nothing after that. We've had the World Cup, we've had the Olympics, and then we just go back to, NBL qualifications for 3 years and maybe a Com Games or something like that. So it's not really as important.
I think there's Asian Cup and the Commonwealth Games. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's a monkey could coach Australia through that, really. With the talent we have locally as compared to the Chinese league or even the Japanese league, we should be able to take that pretty easily. So this is really it. And, Brett Brown probably has the most connections with Australia in terms of any other coach, world quality coach outside of Australia. So I think it's a good match. And it brings that connection, that Simmons connection, because we've been wanting it for 3 years for him to put on the Boomers jersey and see what he can do with this team, especially in a defensive sense where you probably look at defensively, we're a little bit light at that one position, all through the other positions we're quite good, but we're very light at that one position. And you add the mutant point guard into the FIBA mix, which hasn't really been done at all. We don't really know how it's going to work. Could be good, could be terrible. Less space on the floor for him to operate. Not really a shooting team, more of a ball movement team, but that plays into him. I'm interested to see what Brett Brown will do pre-Olympics, but we just got to hope he gets through the season, doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, Ben Simmons. Oof. Oh man, touch wood. Going back to your Weaver your takes on Will Weaver, he'd be perfect. Like Ben Simmons would be perfect for this team if Will Weaver was coaching, our Aussie team. Because with the Kings this season, he's run a lot of downhill stuff where guys getting to the hoop, coming off of curls, making slalom-y type dribbles, like perfect for Ben Simmons to get to the hole, which is he's not shooting jumpers. It's much talked about that he's not shooting jumpers. As well as it'd be perfect kind of testing ground to just shoot some jumpers, bro.
Yeah, I mean, especially in exhibition games, like if he put up 4 of 20, no one would care. It's just like, yeah, man, he's shooting. Like, that's good. And maybe the FIBA 3-point line's a little bit more enticing for him. Although I think his shot mechanism actually works better from longer distance.
Hmm.
I know some people's shot mechanism just seems to work that way. Damian Lillard's works that way. Trae Young's works that way. Just weird, but that is what it could be. But I mean, we can speculate all we want. We've still got a long NBA season. Got some players playing heavy minutes. Bainesy, obviously suiting up for the Suns. He was injured.
Yeah,
In
spoiler
his
alert,
last
he's
game.
injured. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, yeah.
Hip contusion.
Yeah, copped a knee. I watched the replay of that, and it, like going up for a layup, this dude just stuck his knee right out into his hip. It's like, oof, ouch. But going back to Simmons, like give us your take. Like before we started, you were talking about your takes on Simmons, trying to get him into the fold. Thought it was an interesting take on having Brett Brown repair some of maybe the damage that was done in preseason, because we have that whole Jonah Bolden saga, leaving, taking his toys and leaving, and then now not getting minutes for Philly. Like maybe he's in there to repair some of those relationships as well.
I don't know. I read into the not getting minutes in Philly thing as a potential punishment for kind of the unprofessionalism of getting up and leaving the national team. Like Brett Brown feels really, if you've ever seen him interviewed about Australia, he feels very strongly with the national team here and also the league. And I think that having a hissy fit because you're not getting minutes and you think you're a bigger star potentially had ramifications in this season, because he didn't get the preseason that potentially he could have got, or he didn't go back and work out hard enough. I don't know, but I mean, this Philly team is pretty stacked as well through kind of 1 through 8. It's hard to break in when you're kind of a third year rookie, realistically. So I don't know if that's reading into it too much, but I think it could be a slight punishment for unprofessionalism for having a bit of a SPAC attack and getting up and leaving, because I think that would have been the piece of the puzzle to get us to the final or get us a medal at least. Because you watched that semi-final, man, they were so gassed.
Yeah.
They just needed that one player to come out and shoot some 3 balls and defend and take minutes away from, and not just run 44 minutes of offense through Patty Mills, because Delhi's shot fell off a cliff.
Yeah. And that was a shame too, man, because it was a position that we kind of needed an extra body, really. Like we had a lot of guards and a lot of sort of small forwards. Nick Kay was playing really well. It was you just needed another guy to bring some hustle minutes, and he was motivated. But again, like maybe there is something there. Like there was a lot of speculation today about the relationships breaking down between Lamanis and the rest of the team, the rest of the other guys, and the nepotism stuff towards some of the players that he liked. And I do like that take of, we want to get Ben Simmons playing in this Olympics. We need the guy who can convince him to do that. And that's probably Brett Brown has the most chance of convincing Simmons to play. And then along with that comes Bolden maybe repairing that relationship there and having him come into the fold, because you're going to expect Thon Maker to play. You're going to expect Ryan Brokoff's going to want to play, because he was a little bit of a soft out with his child being born. You and I kind of know about that sort of stuff. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's a soft out, but when you're playing in a World Cup for your country, like it's kind of cool. But
so maybe there is something there in terms of the relationship stuff. Like guys just didn't really want to play for Lamanis, and like again, it comes down to the gaze thing. Like I'm not that upset. I'm like, yeah, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose all the time. Like we can't go through life just going, we can't afford to hurt anyone here. And we'll just keep the coach, even though we want a new coach and someone who's probably better, and we got a chance at that. We're gonna,
No, I think it's it wasn't a failure. It wasn't a failing campaign. I think we played really well. I just think that the team was not, the depth wasn't there to see it through, and that's probably a failing of people management and the coach, realistically, with not being able to convince Bolden to stay for that tournament specifically.
And even the Ben Simmons stuff we were talking about off air, like the Ben Simmons at the exhibition games, like kind of telling him to just move along type of thing. Maybe that might have had something to do with it as well.
I think so. Like people paid, you didn't get the best USA team that you potentially could have got there. People would have paid money if Ben Simmons showed up and shot some jumpers. You know what I mean? Like that's what they paid money to see. I don't care what anyone else says. They all came to see the old Australian team, but they came to see what this intergenerational talent could do for the Boomers like we've never had before. And unfortunately, that should have been in the America games. You know, disruptive World Cup. Maybe, maybe not. Put him in for 10 minutes. So yeah, I
So
was.
so out of the wash up of that squad, like who else do we really have that could possibly come in to this team, this Aussie Boomers team? If you look at Thorne wasn't there, Brokoff wasn't there, Bolden didn't end up being there. They're all three guys that probably have starting roles or possibly, you know, bench minutes that definitely get minutes. You're not talking like a Barlow or Sobey or Glidden who didn't even play type of thing.
Yeah.
From there, we're probably lacking one or two more like crunch minutes guy. Like there's no logjam at the 6, 7, 8, 9 spot in this roster where we're trying to just stuff more players that are capable and can play. We're kind of like getting into that seventh man spot and just being like, ooh, we're bringing in guys of the caliber of like, you know, Thon, who for Australia, great, but in the NBA, maybe it hasn't had the best start to this season and is lacking a little bit of form. And then from there, it's kind of like there's no one else really, like Humphreys, Xavier Cooks,
I would say
Dangadell.
that. Well, I mean, Landale's a shoe-in.
Yeah,
I think he's having a good enough season
and he's killing it in
for.
Europe as well at the moment.
He's killing it in Europe. I would also say, you know, potentially Isaac Humphreys comes in as that kind of third center, and then you've got that way to free up Bainesy to play a bit of power forward. And then you've got two guys that can stretch the floor because Humphreys can shoot the three, Baines can shoot the three, and it takes that Bogut effect out. I think Bogut matches up against some bigs quite well in the FIBA game, but then some other bigs he doesn't, where you need guys to get out to the perimeter and defend, and are not running, you know, basket to basket, whereas Bogut has to run kind of basket to basket, and that's really just useful for short stretches. Whereas Humphreys can stretch the floor. I think, you know, Isaac's playing really well. We're going to do a G League pod update in the coming weeks with all the G Leaguers. I think we really, the spot that we're lacking is a two guard. And I think if Josh Green has a good enough season with Arizona in the NCAA, doesn't hurt. If he gets drafted, he'll get drafted before the Olympics. Put your name in. Why wouldn't you play? He's not going to be, you know, a top 10 pick. He's probably going to be the low 20s. That's a 6'5" two guard that can potentially shoot three ball and defend. He's an awesome defender. That's where we need guys in crunch minutes. So where Paddy can run the point, Simmons can go to a 4 spot, and then we've got some things going around him because Simmons isn't really that take you home, but I think Paddy is for the Boomers. And then you've got these massive defensive elements around him that can, you know, play really well and just let Paddy run the point, crash the glass, and also, you know, get back and defend if we need to in the final minutes.
You can kind of traditionally like you could run a lot of stuff with like Paddy Simmons playing off each other. Like in Philly, Simmons doesn't really have that extra guard that he kind of plays off with. Like it's Harris, and Harris is kind of oversized, the same type of player, really. Yeah, but Redick didn't really handle the ball all that much as a traditional point guard, like of the caliber that Paddy's playing at the moment.
But Paddy can play that just catch and shoot player as well. And Simmons can get an open shot anywhere on the court. He can just play his catch and shoot. And that's going to be much less taxing on the body than continually creating a shot off the dribble or, you know, dribbling in, dribbling out, dribbling in, dribbling out, where he can just get to a spot and shoot. Because you've got this mutant point guard that can see you anywhere on the court and know where you are before you're going to get there. That's where that would line up well. If we've got another two guard like Josh Green, yeah, that's going to work really well. We're also getting Dante Exum in this picture as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's true. He's back as well. We'll talk about him a little bit later. It's good to see him back.
Turn of the Mac. So
yeah, you got that in there just to make sure everyone got that one.
Understands the return of the Mac. You just don't know what this season is going to bring yet. I think it's too early to speculate fully on what we're going to get out of this Australian team. I think we'll see a lot of the players unfold over the year. But some people are going to miss out, man. I mean, I wouldn't put Brokoff in with the lack of minutes that he's playing.
I wouldn't probably put him in anyway. I wouldn't let that get to me personally. But yeah, you're right. It is a bit of a, you know.
Look, if the Mavs had a G League team and he's down in G League just shooting buckets every night of the week, yeah, man, put him in. But you can't expect a guy who's played 2 minutes this season, where they're just really just running a Luka-centric system, which will work for regular season, but it'll just get canned in the finals as soon as someone clamps down on him. Yeah, it's kind of pointless. So I wouldn't say that. And the way Thornmaker's playing, man, I don't see him getting picked either.
Well, I think we kind of almost have to pick him, really. Like, it's...
Would do you if you've got someone like Bolden who's playing some G League, if you've got someone who, you've got Jock Landau who's killing it. You've got Nick Kay. Man, let's not underrate Nick Kay. Nick Kay was fantastic in that system that whole time. He was always free. He was always at the rim. He was defending well. He can shoot the three ball.
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's Bainesy level.
Bainesy was actually crazy in that tournament. So, Nick Kay has been really playing very well in terms of scoring for Perth. But Perth's just like, here, give the ball to Bryce Cotton and Tariq White, and that's it. Just go for gold. He doesn't really. But in a system that is a facilitative system, he works really well because a lot of defenders slink off him, not thinking that he's going to be a threat, and then all of a sudden he's under the bucket scoring 20 points a night.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid though. Not great, but solid. I think he was at a higher level in the Boomers World Cup campaign than he has been playing Nick Kay, that is.
Well, I think, again, that's a facilitative thing, is that you've got much smarter caliber players getting him the shots that he needs to get and funneling guys into him because he's quite a stocky, Bainesy style player.
Any other like dark horse NBL guys you could put in there?
Golding is the only one, or Mitch Creek. If Mitch Creek starts hitting the three ball at a higher clip,
besides Mitch Creek, I think Mitch Creek's probably got the 10th, 11th spot sewn up. You know what I mean? He's in that conversation. Like, I don't think he's going to fall out of the conversation of do we pick Mitch Creek? Like, there was a little bit of he didn't make the squad, and then Cooks is out injured, and he suddenly Creek's in the squad. And Creek had a decent sort of World Cup. Wasn't great like at the start of the tournament. We were a bit like, oh, can we get off this Mitch Creek train? And then he came sort of good towards the end and has been like playing a blind day in the NBL. But I think the drop off beyond that in the NBL, I think, is just too. There's not anyone there that screams out at you and makes you go, yep, that guy should be in the mix. And then I don't know if the talent really in the NBA at the moment has swelled enough to be able to keep these NBL guys out of the picture, if you get what I mean.
At certain positions, I think that, yeah, I mean, Bogut's going to get picked at 5. We know that. Baines will get picked at 5. Landau will get picked. Bolden will get picked. And then you kind of got that small forward position that's very open. And then, your 1 and 2 positions are pretty much sewn up. You've got to think Delhi's going to get picked, even though, it's playing backup, really, that small backup point role kind of minutes, not playing heavy minutes.
He's just
I don't know. You couldn't put him and Simmons on the floor at the same time. You just couldn't do it as Brett Brown. Why would you put 2 guards on the floor that can't bloody score the ball? Well, that's true. Like, you'd have to run kind of Ben Simmons and run Paddy as that kind of 3-minute quarter backup point guard to give him a rest. You couldn't run them at the same time.
And then that the squad's a bit swollen then, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a bit littered with, in certain spots, we've got too many players. And
yeah. Well, yeah, you kind of do. And you kind of got to, take who you want to do. But yeah, that's why I don't think Thon breaks into that team. I think probably you could argue that Brokoff breaks in because he's an oversized small forward and that can shoot the 3 ball. And then you kind of, playing with Mitch Creek and Chris Goulding playing potentially as a backup 2 guard. That's kind of my take on what the Boomers. But again, just could all change with injuries. And then what do you fit Dante Exum into that picture?
Yeah, for sure.
He's and do you rush him back in the off season? Saying that he's just come back, he's trying to get healthy. What's his season going to be like? Does he get injured again? So who knows? Maybe the Jazz don't want him to play because they don't, they've invested so much money. They don't want to risk injuring him and he can't play.
For sure.
Anyway, let's
move on to some games.
Let's move on to some games.
I think later on in this season we should look at maybe putting together a Boomers type roster. I was going to say podcast, but that wouldn't have worked really. That didn't make sense.
No, we'll put together a Boomers best Boomers team and why.
Yeah, for
That's what
sure.
we might do a podcast on it. We'll do a podcast on the best Boomers team and why. And remember, we're gonna be bringing special podcast over the summer, looking at all World Cup, Olympics,
Hmm.
because I think this is probably going to be the best basketball tournament of the last
Yeah,
12 to
12.
16
Yeah,
years.
yeah, 12 probably. It's probably one of the best teams we've
Probably,
had in a long time.
but I think it's one of the best teams the world has had in a long time. Like you've got some really interesting countries, obviously Spain,
Yeah,
powerhouse, Lithuania, Serbia. Like you've got a lot of NBA players outside of just America now, but you still got the dream team who all want to play in the Olympics. Um, LeBron's, Anthony Davis, the list goes on.
yeah, yeah,
So
for sure. I think the NBA is kind of becoming a mecca for the world of basketball now, and we're getting a lot more international talent. And it's really brought the standard of every nation, not just Australia, like every European nation. The standards come up, or every nation that has pedigree. They've all sort of come up. Yeah, but we'll move on to some games now. Like in the weeks that we left off, it was the Lakers Suns last Wednesday. The Magic, a lot of L's, man. I named this, put in the description. There's
yeah,
so many L's. We've just been getting hammered. It's been hard to watch. There's been a few teams that, especially the Spurs just went on this crazy losing streak. The Mavs are very quietly just kind of putting it together, playing quite well, but the trade-off is no broke-off minutes, so that's been a bit of a pain. We'll start off with Philly at the Magic, against the Magic. I don't know if it was at the
yeah.
Magic.
It was at the Magic, and it was just a weird game, man. It was just Tobias Harris just chunking shots. Ben Simmons had a decent game, but like lack of shooting again is lack of kind of thing. Embiid didn't travel in this game, so this was no Embiid.
Mm.
Horford playing the five, and just the lack of scoring was kind of evident, man. When did you see Philly last year putting up 97?
Mm.
Like even in a loss, they'd put up 115, 120 kind of thing. And the Magic played well. Don't get me wrong, and we probably should give a shout out to Markel Fultz, and he's kind of back and in the perfect scenario for his career. He's gone to a team that really needed a point guard of his kind of caliber. He's playing really well.
Any
It's good to
any
see.
blowback? Like, was there any sort of, like I keep saying, this whole Fultz thing just disappeared? Like, how many
No, it
many
was just
times have you heard people
everyone's.
just be like, "Ha ha, bust"? Like, you know what I mean?
It's
That's
kind of
pretty crazy.
everyone's. That's kind of just like if you go online, everyone's just kind of like, oh, cool, this guy's playing well. I think it's one of those things you want your number one draft picks to play well. Um, and he looks like shooting the three ball. He is shooting at a very low clip. I think it's 22%. But he just like people have got to respect me on the perimeter,
Mm.
and that'll open up more offensive opportunities to get inside. I think he had his high scoring game uh, further in the week. I think he had 19. But yeah, this Philly looked just terrible. Tobias Harris is just so hot and cold. It's horrible to watch sometimes.
And that's
Um,
that's what I mean about Simmons doesn't have the, like, in this Philly team, he doesn't have that point guard like Patty Mills to kind of expand his game. Like, there was a lot of last year. There was a lot of standing around at the dunker spot, and you just kind of like, what's the point of that? Or like just kind of just slinking to grab rebounds a little bit. I
well,
think,
this team. Sorry to stop you, but
yeah.
this Philly team does not suit his style of play at
Mm,
all, because they all want to put the ball on the floor and dribble into the paint for the shot, whereas he just wants guys to catch and shoot.
yeah,
Like you see it, he'll drive in, kick it to Tobias Harris, who's open. What does Tobias Harris do? Puts it on the floor to drive. It's just like you're driving into a crowded area that he's just driven into, and you've got an open shot on the perimeter, but he's so scared, or he just wants to get into a better shot mechanism at a higher point, and then he goes in, he can't get his shot out, and then he flicks it to Josh Richardson, who does exactly the same thing. Just shoot the ball. First thing comes to your hand, shoot the ball. It's so annoying, man. The amount of shot clock violations is just absurd
really.
for a team of that caliber. Yeah, man. It There's at least 2 or 3 shot clock violations a game, which is just ridiculous.
I wonder if we could pull
Like
a stat up
should,
on that.
it's someone should just shoot the ball. I mean, they pretty much smashed the Cavs in the next game they play.
Do you want to go team by team?
Yeah, we'll go team by team. They played the Thunder after that. And look, Thunder, Chris Paul has done well with that team, man. They look good.
Yeah.
Gallinari's playing well. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's playing well. Steven Adams is a defensive beast and pretty much nullified Embiid. But that was a kind of game that they just lost for no reason. Simmons fouled out. Embiid was on 5 fouls. Harris was on 5 fouls, and then it went to overtime. It was just like, this is just dumb. Couldn't play any defense in overtime because they were all going to foul out. So that was that game.
OKC's just weird. They've got a lot of sneaky, will be good in 4 years players. It's
I
kind
think
of
Schroeder's
a weird
good
team.
now.
Yeah,
I think
I
Schroeder's
don't mind
good.
Schroeder. He's Schmoeder. Schroeder's all right. Schmoeder. And then I've always liked Steven Adams. I think he's a really, really good player. I think it's going to take him a couple of seasons to kind of get back out of that mentality of, Russell Westbrook grabs boards and just slams the ball at me in the post, and I've got to go and just put the ball up straight away type of thing, because he's got a pretty good post game. I
He's
think
got a first game. I think he can shoot the ball as well. It's just he just never has had to or never has been told to.
I don't know if his cardio is that great, because Chris Paul runs a lot of come here, set the screen, now roll to the ball, come here, set the roll,
Yeah.
come, and I notice I notice that obviously it's more obvious when you're watching the NBL to see unfit guys, but now I've been sort of watching the NBL, you kind of start to notice why these guys only play in 6-7 minute bursts. JaVale McGee's one guy, the more you use him in pick and roll, the more it's just he's got to get off the court because he's just blowing straight away pretty much. So these effectiveness.
just being 7 foot, man. It's hard to run all day when you're 7 foot. I think.
And you watch his workout videos too, man. He works out pretty hard, eh? And you're like, man, I'm not even that fit, and this dude playing elite level basketball. Just quietly, man. Have you watched a lot of Lakers this season?
I've been watching a bit of Lakers. Yeah, I've been catching a few of their games.
Does LeBron
They look pretty good,
look like he's blowing a lot? He's
playing too many minutes for his age. He's 30, what, 34?
34, I think, yeah. 34,
He's
35. But he looks visibly gassed, man. After some plays today, I was watching the highlights of the game today against OKC, and a few highlight plays, he came up just being and you could see it in his face that he was really blowing. It was I want to play this hardcore sort of really physical and fast-paced style, but it's my mental toughness that's willing me to just keep going through the fact that I've slowed down a little bit. It's interesting. It's interesting. I kind of noticed it a little bit the year before last year, where in that final series, he got to that finals and he was just gassed. And you could see it too. There was this one dunk he had, and you could tell, you could just see it in his face, the whole just oh shit, I don't know how much more energy I got to keep doing this, and I'm just running on fumes. So some of these athletes have that mental toughness to just Kawhi is someone where doesn't matter how gassed he is, he just keeps going and going and going. He's got that mental toughness, that cyclist style, Tour de France style toughness, where they just play through the pain barrier. But man, I've been watching LeBron, but that team looks really good. But we'll do the overreaction pods, and we'll talk about the Lakers a little bit. Did you want to do your little Ben Simmons piece now that we're three quarters of the way through?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just it is the proverbial, he's not taking the shots, he's not attempting shots. And Joel Embiid has come out and said on camera in a post-match interview, he needs to take shots for us to win. That's big coming from the centerpiece. Yeah, that's big coming from the centerpiece of Philly, because Embiid's Philly, right? He's not going anywhere. He'll be there till the day he retires. He is the centerpiece of Philly. And if he's coming out and saying he needs to take shots in order for us to win, we encourage him to take shots all the time. Brett Brown encourages him to take shots. Tobias Harris, the whole team is saying shoot the fucking ball. And he's still not doing it.
Shoot it.
They're playing the Knicks tomorrow. I hope he just puts up 3 3-pointers for this. It's the Knicks. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I think it's
Is it
mental, man.
It's that young buck. Yeah, I think it's that young buck mentality. It's just I don't need to. I'm good enough to not take shots, and I'll just be efficient and shoot 10 from 12 and get 20 points and help my teammates win. It's just you need to shoot shots to people to respect you, to come out to you beyond the 3-point line, because smart teams will sag off you, and then you've already got enough clogging of the paint and no outside shooters. So it's just not going to work. You're only going to put up 90 points a night. Defensively, it's going to work, but offensively, that's what needs to happen in order to do that. In saying that, they went full mental against the poor Cavs and absolutely trounced them.
Yeah,
the Cavs was just terrible.
I got that here. What have we got here in my
I think it was
notes?
like
114.95.
Yeah, I mean Simmons only played 26 minutes, so there you go.
They all played limited minutes in that game because it was such a blowout. And then he's been so efficient, but Simmons 9 of 12, 5 of 8 here, 6 of 9. Like this is super efficient. Like it's almost like I want it to look good on paper, and I don't want the narratives to shift to me.
Yeah,
like everyone's gonna as soon as I start shooting, everyone's gonna talk about it, and that's. I don't know. I feel like he's trapped in that mentality of I don't want people to start talking about me taking threes and shit. You know what I mean? Like now it's becoming weird.
But no one cares. Even if it was 20%, no one cares. That's what everyone wants to see, and it's kind of like he's just saying, "F you to everyone. I'll do it when I'm ready." It's like the man that has been told by his girlfriend to propose, and that makes him not want to propose even more. That's a good analogy. I think that's the analogy I'm going to go with.
Not bad. It's like
he was going to propose, he was going to happen, but now that everyone's pressuring him to do it, it's not going to happen. So I wonder if that's the case.
I think that's because this is his 4th season, so technically he had the foot injury out.
Yeah, this is technically so it's his 3rd season, 4th year.
4th year. So technically it's his 3rd season. So the first season was next season he's going to shoot, and then. Now this season, it's just he's just not shooting. What the hell? Sort it out. You know what I mean?
It's even worse. His numbers are down even on last year in terms of shots taken outside certain areas.
Yeah, it's weird. I keep saying, man, it's just weird now. It's hey, just shoot it. What are you doing? This is weird now. Last year, it was when he gets that shot going, man, it's gonna be great. And now it's just just shoot it, man. Okay, we get it. Just shoot it. But we just spent, 20 minutes just saying how great it is. We're going to have Ben Simmons on the Boomers team. And now we're just kind of shitting on him for Philly. Any other games we need to go through for Philly? They're playing tomorrow against the Knicks.
Yeah, that should be an easy win. Let's move on to your Spurs and Patty Mills playing 10 minutes, 20 minutes actually, and them getting the loss to the T-Wolves.
Yeah.
Which they could sneak into 7th, 8th position to make the finals this year. They've got a sneaky good team. Cat with Wiggins has actually stepped up his game a lot this year. Looks pretty good.
Sure.
Covington.
Covington was actually pretty good in this game. Who's there that small forward they got? It's kind of to me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is basically the same player. I can't think of what his name is, but it's those two are the same player. Tolliver, he also played well in this game. But just the Spurs, man, I think they've lost 5 in a row now. We started out a couple of weeks ago sort of going, they're great. Spurs keep on Spurs, and how good's this? They're starting now. They're just losing games left and right. DeRozan's struggling. LaMarcus, if he's not getting it going, then the rest of the team just kind of struggles. Rudy Gay's been a little bit hot and cold. Trying to get DeJounte Murray and Forbes back into this team. They just don't shoot enough threes. There's not enough burst scoring where they keep games tight. It's an arm wrestle and then they lose. And you're you just spent so much energy. If you just shot more 3 balls, you might just bam, 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 bam. We're out by 20. The game's wide open and the team doesn't come back and they just kind of roll downhill to the finish line. They're going to play a lot of games, a lot of tight games this season. And I don't think it's going to be very good for them, man.
Yeah, I don't know what they do. Do they start running all their offense through Patty? Is that a potential? Because Forbes and White haven't really been doing anything. Do you go back to the classy veteran to get this team back on track? He went from playing 12 minutes and then his minutes are starting to go up to 20, 26 again. When you're getting healthy Bryn Forbes back this year.
They've lost 6 in a row, so they've won 1 in their last 9. Shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think. After that start where they were 4-1, They lost 5. They've won 1 of their last 9, and they had a little bit of a stretch last year that was similar.
Yeah, it is, but I don't see the players that they have pulling them out of it. Really,
That's a
could this
similar team to last year. They just don't really have Joffrey
what do you call it?
Laverne. Yeah, what's Davis Bertans, who was
Davis Bertans.
their main 3-point shooter. Now, if I'm looking at their stats at the moment, Damari Carroll is their highest 3-point percentage, 42%, and then Derek White, 40%. And then, DeJounte Murray's only taken 1 a game, 16%, and Bellinelli's only 26%. There's just not enough, not enough bam, 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 bam scoring where you're just like, the Spurs are out by 16, 17. They're pushing the game. They can run. They can play their mid-range, keep teams at bay. It doesn't work. It's too slow. And I don't know, Pop doesn't want to shoot more threes, man. If he's like a grumpy old man, he's like, I don't want to shoot threes. Fuck the 3 ball. And it's like, man, come on. Don't be like Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, look, these guys are stuck in their ways, and
they're old school coaches, man. They're
old school coaches.
Their whole legacy comes from that bygone era of shooting, playing all round basketball, and the game's kind of moving on. Even I had a little rant about Steve Kerr and the Warriors last year. Same sort of thing where, I think the game is also still moving on from that Warriors style system with a lot of movement, and I think it's just becoming crazy shot making, and then from there you pass it around a little bit or make decisions really quickly. It's not necessarily about scheming and systems and that. I find I'm watching these games and just thinking, holy shit, a team just made 3 out of 4 trips the right play. Oh, dude's open, bam. It's quicker now. It's not, I pass here, we little pick and roll here, that guy's open, pass it to him. Now I'm noticing guys are dumping off at the rim more. Guys are tossing these crazy laser passes all the way into the corner, and a guy's wide open because somebody set a pick that you didn't see off the ball. They're just making these decisions really quickly, and I don't see the Spurs really doing that. The Spurs are systematic. The Jazz, even though they've been playing well, the Jazz are similar as well. And then you watch these games where players are just getting smarter, man. Smarter, they're making better decisions, not necessarily relying on their physical attributes, and making crazy plays that still look fundamental. I've noticed as well, some of these dunks in traffic where he only had a step and just a shoulder width, and it's just bam, and you're like, fuck. You're seeing more and more guys do that this season. I'm noticing in the games I watch.
I'm just going to look up now the NBA average 3-point percentage by year.
And then more threes. NBA. Everyone's shooting way more threes. A crazy, crazy amount of threes are being shot. And that's, three's better than 2. If you can shoot it at 50%, you're scoring more points than you are scoring inside. Against the Magic, they lost 111, 109. It's a tighter game. Patty played quite well. He had 13 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 6 of 9, plus 13. That's more of a game that he's kind of going to play well in. They've got that 3-man sort of Chubb lineup, the Orlando Magic. The Blazers, they lost that game. Blazers is kind of a team where they've got those 2 guards, and if they go off, it's there's not much you can do there. And then we were having a conversation with Savo, we were talking on the phone, where these guard combinations, one other guy needs to be a really elite tier defender for you to have a really high level functioning elite guard combo. Yeah. And I look at the Blazers, and they don't Lillard's not an elite defender. He's a trier kind of defender, a little bit like Curry. And then McCollum's not an elite defender. He's also a try. I try hard. And then up against the Spurs, it's the perfect, if you're coming up against the Spurs and you can just shoot the lights out, that's a team where you're just you're probably going to win 9 out of 10 games when you're shooting the lights out against the Spurs, because they're a systematic team. They're not athletic. They're not, they don't grind you back once you scoring the ball really well. And I don't know, man. This is the first season where, it started nice and it looked good. Now I'm starting to go, shit, man. I don't think the Spurs are going to make the,
Here's an interesting stat. This is the lowest 3-point percentage since 2003-4 this year.
And then more threes being taken, just more misses.
So 3 points, the average 3 points per game is 33. 3 points attempted. And in 2001, it was 13.
Wow.
So it's
just more threes and more misses, but
It's pace. It's pace. Pace has gone up 10 points. You know, it's quick, running quick down the court, jacking up shots early, and it seems to be that fitter teams seem to be doing a lot better. Yeah, pace has just increased exponentially, but the 3-point percentage, I thought it would have been higher. But
No, because they're not it hasn't grown exponentially in a sense of people are moving the ball more and passing the ball around and getting good shots. It's kind of just like, just jack them up, boys. Like quick shot clock, like just snipe the ball around, just throw up shots. A quick three's good. We just get back and then we run down the floor and get another three. Like make sure the game's quicker. Like I don't know if that's gonna like come back at some point. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna pull back and teams, because you're seeing a lot more small forwards that are duking it out with centers now. Like you don't need to be a 7-footer and powerful to duke it out with another center now, because centers can't be super powerful because you need to shoot the ball, and then that's gone out of the game. Like those powerful centers are kind of going out of the game. So there's levels to it, but we'll go the Mavs. They lost against the Mavs. The Mavs played quite well in this game. Ran up 117 to 110. Paddy had 9 points in this game, 3 of 9. Not the greatest game really for him. Transition to the Mavs, winning some games, but just Brokoff's not playing, man, and I'm just super disappointed.
Super disappointing. I mean, it's good watching Luka Magic. Defensively, he's a turd. I don't think there's anyone to pay. It's just that it's like Harden. His offense is just so overwhelming that you just got to try and battle that. But postseason, if they make it to the postseason, I just see like, all right, Ben Simmons, Kawhi, AD, Rondo, Patrick Beverley, just goon away and completely neutralize that team, and that team will just lose in 4. They just don't have the pieces yet around him. I think Kristaps playing really well. Seth Curry's playing well for what it is. They just don't have the pieces around him at the moment to be like, okay, if he's getting gooned this whole game, and because there's a lot more gooning in the finals, much more gooning. If he's getting gooned this whole game and we're setting smart defensive plays for him, then what do they do? And really, they don't have another facilitator. JJ Bare's not been playing at all. Dorian Finney-Smith has been shooting the ball well, but hasn't been really kind of creating. It's just all offense through Luka.
Yeah,
the whole team is run through Luka, and the games where he just kind of gets neutralized by intelligent defense is just like, oh, the Mavs have nothing, and works really well during the regular season.
He's a guy that kind of wants to do it again and again and again and again as well. Like he'll take 2 or 3 bad shots, and then you're just like, all right, just toss it around a little bit, and then you're just like another bad shot, hey, you're not Donovan Mitchell or Westbrook, you know what I mean? Like chill out. But on the flip side, 1 out of every 3 times, he'll get hot, and then he'll make his next 4 crazy shots, and then suddenly the Mavs are back in it, and then they get momentum. Porzingis is playing quite well. He started the season looking real fresh, but now I'm watching him, and he's starting to look a little bit like that injury sort of the fitness is catching up with him. He started looking a little bit slower. Finney-Smith's been playing pretty well for him as well.
So is Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell. They've all been playing well together. I just don't think it's a Houston. It's a false economics team. It's a Houston 2 years ago, and last year. It's a false economics team. I think they do really well regular season. I think in the postseason they get found out by the elite teams, and that's the Lakers, the Clippers, potentially the Jazz. The Jazz are kind of a good, smart, scheming team. But when you chunk twice to the Knicks for absolutely no reason,
and the Knicks kind of did goon them, man, as well. I watched those 2 games.
It's just goon. If they just goon Luka, that's the whole. You want to win a game against the Mavs, goon Luka. Easy, goon him, and it's all over.
They'll have to work something out through the season to combat that. Brunson's been playing all right, but man, you look at Justin Jackson, and I see him play, and I'm like, that's just what Brokoff is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same player. If they had a G League team, he'd be playing in the G League, and that's a real shame because I think that would have given him enough to get to the Australian team. But just he's not even sitting on the bench. He's just like nowhere to be seen. And it's just like, do they just trade him for cash? Do we see him on the Cavs this year? Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, does he go to a team and can play some minutes? I hope so. I think he's got to get out of the Mavs. Obviously, he's not in Rick Carlisle's picture. Don't even know why he signed him. Doesn't like shooting 3 balls. So maybe it was just a a year. Like even Boban hasn't been playing, and you're paying the guy 7 million a season, and he's not even playing. Bizarre.
Yeah, I think
Anyway,
some context though, like back when they made that, back before they made those crazy roster changes, having a guy like Brokoff, you went, yeah, that's good. I got another corner shooter. They didn't have many corner shooters. Now they've kind of just littered their roster with a few just weird signings that it's a bit of a Frankenstein team featuring Luca, who's doing everything and using what he has around him. You know what I mean? So it made sense back then, but now you're looking at this team, it's like it's just kind of grown out of control, mutated into a point where I just look at Justin Jackson and Brokoff and I'm like, that's the same player giving you a similar thing, and Justin Jackson's getting minutes. So it's like, I don't see, unless Justin Jackson gets injured, and then maybe two or three more guys get injured, that's when you're going to start to see Brokoff. But I don't think it's going to happen, man.
Team's staying pretty healthy as it is. We'll move on to the Cavs and
get them out of the way.
The Cavs, get them out of the way. I really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the game. I've enjoyed the most so far was the Cavs Mavs. It was a shootout. It was a good game. It wasn't a lot of defense, but it was fun to watch. But since then, like the Cavs offense has just fallen off a cliff. Sexton can't score. Darius Garland can't score. Kevin Love's just been like, even though he had against Philly the first game, he had that kind of shot to win the game, but missed it. Tristan Thompson's probably, for my mind, been their best player. He's doing a bit more, shooting the ball, crashing the glass. I think he's playing for a contract, really, because what do you have other than that at the Cavs? Chetty Osman's just been non-existent from, having flickers of good last year to just being null and void this year.
Alfonso McKinney's come in playing 9 minutes a game, shooting 62% from three. So that's something, but averaging 3 points a game.
Yeah, it's just like shoot ones. Clarkson's been playing well and plays well in stretches and goes missing for 2 games. It's just.
And then
thought that
Delhi 10% this season
from 3.
Yeah. It's just after remodeling that shot too, man. I feel bad, but I feel bad going.
I feel bad because it's just like he's either got to take minimum wage next year or he's not going to be in the NBA.
Yeah. Or find a team where he can, like in this team, he can jack up like 4 or 5 threes a game, but he's only shooting 1.8 threes a game. I still think he's lost the confidence in his own shot, even though he's remodeled it. He's lost confidence again, but I like this team's a trier. It's a trier, man. And it's going to be bad, but this team's a trier, and they'll try through the next sort of 2-3 years of rebuilding. I think they can bounce back, but it's not going to be in the next couple of years. We'll move to.
My prediction is that they don't crack the top 10 for the next 6 years.
It's probably in their best interest, really, to stay bad as well and keep getting those picks. David Griffin's.
Yeah.
I think their executives is it David Griffin, Kobe Altman. Griffin's, I think Pelicans. He was there. Kobe Altman now. So yeah, I don't know, man. The Cavs are just. Can Dilly get back to Milwaukee or someone like that's crazy good, so we can support them, even though he's not playing at all. The Suns, man, very quietly had a nice peak. Well, not that quiet, and now just quietly tapering off a little bit. They've brought it back close to 500. They're sitting in 7th spot, 7-6. Still early days, but I think they've cooled off a little bit. And this Baines getting injured yesterday, against the Celtics is a blow, man. It's a blow.
It is a blow because they're down to their last center now. They're down to their backup center as their starting center, who's actually been playing pretty well, but is still not the caliber of obviously Baines or DeAndre Ayton.
Who is it?
I think they're counting down Frank Kaminsky.
Kaminsky.
What is it?
Kaminsky. I think it is Frank Kaminsky. Or is it Willie Hernan? Nah. I see again, Frank Kaminsky and Willie Hernan Gomez is like the same player to me, If you put them side by side, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one was which. Rubio, I think, has had a couple of injuries. Has he? No, he's played every game, has he? No, he hasn't. He's missed a couple of games.
And then he only played 16 minutes today.
I think he's got a bit of a thumb injury. But yeah, man, losing Baines is a blow, I think.
It is. He was kind of the spark for that team, and playing really well and, shooting the ball well. And it's a shame that he's obviously didn't play with hip contusion, so hopefully he rests up. But it was a close loss today to Kings. Kings have kind of bounced back as well from their terrible start. They're starting to win games now, even without De'Aaron Fox. So that's good to see. I think Bogdan Bogdanovic
They were down
today.
pretty big actually in this game.
The Kings, I know. I think the Suns were.
The Suns, were down pretty big. That was 14
Yeah.
points first quarter, and then they kind of brought it back towards the third quarter, and then a 41-point fourth quarter. That's crazy to bring it all the way back. This Sacramento just toying with tanking and losing games to tank maybe, but yeah, I still like Booker. I like ISO Booker. And then Oubre is kind of a nice kind of fake tough guy to have in there. More often than not, it gives you something at least. Bainesy in there doing his thing. And then it just, with Rubio there, I'm just, even though I think he's been playing all right, Rubio, it just doesn't, I look at it and just go, it doesn't fit, man.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I think that if they can keep it anywhere near 500, then they're doing all right. But I think
that's a huge achievement if they're getting anywhere near 500. Like anything above 30 to 35 games, man, is phenomenal, man. Because they're probably not projected to really be that good this season, and maybe next season they're still probably maybe 2 or 3 pieces away from being good. Did they win any? No, they lost. So they lost against the Hawks. That was a crazy game. Then they lost against the Celtics and then the Kings today. So just L's, man. So many L's.
It's not been good. Let's round it or bring it home with the return of the Mac for the Jazz. The Jazz, I think, had a couple of L's as well, but far out, man. It's good to see Dante Exum finally back in the frame.
Did you look a little bit ginger, man, where you got that steal and then went all the way to the basket and that dunk, he kind of landed on that dunk, and I watched it and I just went, ooh, that looks like a man who's just like, oh, don't get injured again. Shit. Don't go too hard. Yeah. Looked a little bit like that to me anyway.
He's gonna be wrapped in cotton ball, I think, for a little bit of time. But it's good to see, man. I think they do need that backup point guard to Conley that can do a little bit more and be a little bit more streaky and get to the rim and be a little bit more aggressive and probably a much better defender than Conley as well when he's fit. But yeah, man, they took a couple of tough losses. Like they lost to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that was awful, man. 106-1. They did not play well in that game. Joe Ingles. Man, it's almost time to have a Joe Ingles talk. Like, man, Joe, what's going on? I don't think this bench role's suiting him, man. But I just don't think there's a spot in the starting lineup with Bogdanovic there. It's like it's the same player, same guy, really. You can't have Bogdanovic and Ingles in the same team, in the same starting lineup.
It's the right-handed Joe Ingles, really. That's what it is. How many games did they play this week? They played a couple.
This week, the Jazz played the Grizz and then the T-Wolves. Unless I missed one. I might have missed one. I rushed the...
Played 34. Yeah, he played 34 minutes against the T-Wolves. 12 points, 4 of 12, minus 11. He's got to do a little bit more facilitation, I think, in this team to get them really going. I think he's got to kind of be the primary ball handler at times.
I don't think there's enough really there for him to create with off the bench. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not, like, you can say you need to do more facilitating, but then you look at the lineups he's playing in, and you're just like, but who's he, like, in those lineups, you're like, no, he should be doing a lot of just being wide open in the corner, shooting threes. And then I think he is shooting a few more shots this season, but they're not going in. Like, that's one of the big things I'm noticing is like, yep, wide open. Oh, we missed that. Like, shit, he was wide open then.
Yeah.
And he's taken a few janky step backs. And his step back is not horrible. It's not brilliant. And I'm okay with him taking step backs. Like, it doesn't look like a super pretty move, but it was still pretty effective last season. Like, this season, he's not shooting the ball well, I don't think. Anyway, like, in my opinion.
3-point percentage is 35.6%. His average is 40. So a little bit down. Field goal percentage is down. Efficiency is down. Free throws are down. Assists are up. He's a 3-point percentage, 34.4%.
On B-ball ref, he's
sorry, it's 30. 30%.
Yeah, 30. Oof. I know, that's down. That's way down, man.
Yeah, that's way down.
And his field
Way,
goal
way down.
percentage, 34% in general, is way down, I think, as well.
Yeah, he's none of those like kind of streaky get to the cup with Gobert, just kind of long lay-ins.
Field goal percentage last year, 44, and then 46 the year before. So it's coming down. I still think, man, it's almost like, are we going to have a chat here? It's time.
Is it time to overreact yet?
Yeah, maybe that might be coming in the next couple of weeks, in the next week when we do overreactions.
Yes, it could be a contentious topic. Is this really what we need from Joe Ingles? Are they just Indeed.
All right, well, we might wrap it up there. We'll be back Sunday. We're going to come back Sunday, do
I think we will.
overreactions pod.
I think so.
And
I think it'll get done.
as always, like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, on YouTube, iTunes, Podcast Addict, and SoundCloud. Everything, if you're watching on YouTube right now, everything's here. Yeah, there. And then you're down there. Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate everyone. The boomer stuff's very interesting. I still take away from that, it's like, cool, man. I'm interested to see what happens now.
Yes.
And I don't like or hate Lamarnus, and I don't say, good, we need to get rid of him, and I don't say, man, I feel bad for him a little bit. You know, like, it's just...
It is what it is. It's the professional game. They think it's a win now situation, and that's what they want. They want a coach that's a win now coach.
Someone's got
And
to
they
lose.
think that's Brett Brown.
Someone's got to win, and not everyone can win. So it's a shame,
Indeed.
but, you know, I'm excited, man, for Brett Brown. So, yeah, we'll leave it there. And we'll see you guys next time. So take it easy, everyone. Have a good night.
Take care. Peace.